beginning.
Jordan, what's this?
Back to it again.
Jordan.
Ew.
Okay, two things have to happen. I have to plug the sound in, and I have to present the screen for our kiddos.
10.
Wait, see you in 10.
See you in 10.
See you in 10.
See you in 10. Delivered.
It's a message.
It's a message.
See you in 10. Delivered.
Replay everything now.
I did.
Good.
10.
10. 10. March on.
Your daily overview of current events. A cyber attack has shut down America's largest fuel pipeline. And this has brought up concerns about everything from how vulnerable America's infrastructure is to how much this could impact fuel prices. As far as
Regular
those
is
are
kinda
concerned,
cheap, but
the
they
national
don't
average
use
for
it.
1 gallon of gasoline was
Why do you use that?
$2.97 on Monday. That's 60% higher than it was at
Oh,
this
no, it's
time last
lagging
year
again.
when Americans weren't driving as much during COVID-related shutdowns. The Colonial Pipeline Company transports about 45% of all the fuel consumed on the U.S. East Coast. It found out Friday it had been hit by a cybersecurity attack.
What?
Colonial says the computer
Oh.
virus involves something called ransomware. What this does is encrypt or lock up important information until a person
Why
or
is it
organization pays a ransom to get it back again. This is a growing threat to computer systems, and the security company McAfee says it's nearly impossible to get files back without paying the ransom unless the attacker backs off. So who is the attacker? The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation says it's a criminal group that originated in Russia. We don't know if Colonial plans to pay the ransom. The federal government says because it's a private company, it's up to Colonial to decide. We can tell you that in the past year, ransomware victims have paid more than $350 million to get their files back. The U.S. government is telling infrastructure providers to do all they can to protect themselves from cyber attacks.
That's not funny.
Colonial says it was able to shut down its operations before the virus could impact its physical equipment systems, the ones that actually operate the oil pipelines. It says its smaller systems are now up and running again, but its 4 main lines are still shut down, and it may take until the end of the week until it's fully operational. The government says there's not a shortage of gasoline at the moment, and an oil expert says a disruption of a couple days isn't typically a big deal. However, if Colonial's pipes stay closed through this week or longer, the problems this creates and the price rises it causes could be much greater. According to the Education Week news organization, 2 U.S. states currently have orders in effect that some schools must remain closed out of coronavirus concerns. 14 states currently have orders that schools must be open, offering in-person learning. The remaining states don't have an order in effect, meaning the decision's up to individual school districts. To be open or not to be open, that has been an ongoing challenge for educators, students, and parents since almost all schools were closed last year after COVID reached America. Here's a tale of 2 districts on opposite sides of the country.
But what does the GCS stand for? Nevaeh.
Since last September, 11-year-old Nevaeh Bailey has spent every school day here at Charleston Progressive Academy.
It was very important for me to get her back in school.
Equally important was that Nevaeh's schedule has allowed her mother, Charlene, to maintain hers.
I work as a physician office specialist, so I have to be to work 5 days a week.
Parents in the Charleston County School District in South Carolina have had the option to send their children for 5-day-a-week in-person learning since the school year began.
As more parents became more comfortable, they came back, our teaching staff and other personnel were of course apprehensive that they were willing to come back after they saw the conditions, the safety measures we had taken.
Minecraft!
Superintendent Jarita Postlethwaite says that today nearly 80% of the district's 50,000 students are back in school full-time. Nearly 3,000 miles away, things look strikingly different.
April 12th, when we reopened our schools.
In San Francisco's public schools, a district roughly the same size as Charleston's, Deputy Superintendent Gentle Blythe says full in-person instruction is only offered for preschool and special needs students across the entire district. K-12 students recently started a hybrid plan.
Well, San Francisco certainly, I think, has gotten a lot of attention for being a district that hasn't reopened as quickly as many parents would have liked. We're certainly not alone within our state.
More than half of all California public school students are still learning virtually, and only 13% are in full in-person instruction.
Why is there still this inability to offer in-person learning?
We wish we could have done it sooner, but we are
A lot of
moving in that
people
direction.
online.
And we have committed to a full in-person return in the fall.
A majority of school districts across the country find themselves in a position somewhere between Charleston and San Francisco. According to the Department of Education, more than half of K-8 public schools have fully reopened for in-person learning. But many also intend to keep a hybrid and online option for those families who want it. Even in Charleston, where district officials say nearly 500 families have applied.
There will be families
Smart, strong, cool.
who have really concrete, legitimate reasons to remain virtual in terms of medical fragility. And so we think it's important to offer a virtual academy option.
But Principal Wanda Wright Sheets is optimistic that most students will be back in classes.
Academically, the program would work better if they were here with us. Socially, for students, being with their peers is better than being isolated.
Kentucky trivia. What was the name of the first horse to win the Kentucky Derby?
Airsides,
Aristides,
Burstyn.
Sir Martin, Spokane, or Seabiscuit?
Alright, so we're thinking of the first. Ow! Okay. Just by the skin of my teeth. Alright. Which one do we think was the name of the first horse to win the
But
Kentucky Derby?
I
Our
guess an
options
air.
were
Air something.
Aristotle,
I don't know what it is.
Sir Martin, Seabiscuit,
Spokane.
and Spokane. Which one do we think it is?
Spokane. Spokane. Because that's a
Spokane.
funny name.
I just think air something.
Aristotle.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
What do you
cool
think, Brandon?
and he's fast.
Always so fun.
Fast.
We had Aristotle, Sir Martin, Spokane, and Seabiscuit. Sir Barton, what do you think, Thomas?
I think it's Sir Barton.
Sir Barton.
Yeah.
Morgan?
More like C. Barton.
Oh!
David, Darrell, any guesses? Which ones do we think it is?
Joel, can you please believe? It's your choice. Hey, don't press play. This is.
Play.
Spokane.
Okay, so another vote for Spokane. I like it.
Joel?
You ready to find out?
Joel?
So this is the horse that was the first ever horse to win the Kentucky Derby, okay?
Yeah! Yes!
Kentucky Derby in
Yes!
1970.
Alright, so I'm gonna bring it back just for a second so we can
Let's go!
get the spelling. Because I know that that's a little bit of a funny
He
one.
sounds cool, boy.
Aristides is A-R-I-S.
You all get away, but this time I got away.
Fantastic. Really good guess today, Jaden.
Because it's air and moves fast.
Ooh, I like that. A little bit of logic behind the answer.
You're not fast, don't
Make sure we're not running too much, especially when we don't got shoes on.
try to find it again.
I know. But I am
Kentucky
a
Derby in
balanced guy.
1975. Though Seabiscuit is one of the most famous American horses, he never ran the
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby,
Yes,
the Preakness
my
Stakes, or
beauty.
the Belmont Stakes, the three events that make up the Triple Crown of horse racing. However, Seabiscuit did once beat a Triple Crown winner named War Admiral in a head-to-head match race. Every year after the Kentucky Derby, racing fans wonder what kind of chances the winner has of capturing the next two races for the Triple Crown. 13 horses have done this since 1919, but the animal that won on May 1st of this year may not be allowed to compete in the other races. Here's why.
Medina Spirit's Kentucky Derby win is in doubt after a positive drug test revealed traces of an anti-inflammatory that can mask health issues in horses before a race. I spoke with Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert, and he unequivocally denied any wrongdoing and said that this drug was not administered to his Kentucky Derby winning horse. He was, however, emotional after learning the news and speaking with reporters earlier this morning.
Yesterday, I got the biggest gift in racing for something that I didn't do. And this is really, it's disturbing, It's an injustice to the horse.
We're now waiting on the results of additional tests that will ultimately determine whether or not the horse is disqualified as a Kentucky Derby winner. And Bob Baffert also has the right to appeal those results as well, a process that could take a very long time to adjudicate. Churchill Downs has also suspended Bob Baffert from training or running any horses on their property until the
What if
situation
that was
is
their
resolved.
profile
A result
picture?
that he told me was incredibly disappointing, as he has a lot of respect for the Kentucky Derby, as he put it, and would never do anything to jeopardize a result there. In the meantime, organizers of the Preakness Stakes are gathering their own information as the second leg of the Triple Crown is right around the corner, scheduled for next Saturday. They will ultimately determine whether or not Medina Spirit will be allowed to run there. Carolyn Manos, CNN, New York.
For our last story today, I'd like to welcome our special guest, Random. This is a roller coaster. It's part of the Kings Island Ohio. But Carl, what's so random about that? Well, test running are 32 plush dolls made in the likeness of the late painter Bob Ross. And if one of those is something you gotta have, the park says you can win one by playing one of its midway games in the season.
Bob Ross Arby.
It'll take skill, not a happy little accident, to win a Bob Ross. But if there's nothing wrong with having a tree as a friend, a plush shouldn't make your skin flush with a blush. If you have more fun than most people by experiencing the joy of painting, roller coaster riding, and generally being Bob Rossum. I'm Carl Zeus, hoping all your trees are happy ones. Northport High School gets today's shout out for subscribing and leaving a comment on our YouTube channel. Hello to everyone watching from Northport, Florida.
How do I spell countries?
What's the word?
Countries.
COUNTRIES.
Thank you.
Very welcome. So, what is going on in our world, guys? What are we gonna
Horse
break down? What was-
racing.
Right,
Horse
so we did. We had a
racing.
story about horse racing. What was going on with that story?
Biscuit.
Not biscuit, but.
It's like about to lose.
Well, so Eric Steindl was the first one to ever win the Kentucky Derby. But what they're saying is there is a horse that just won, and they're saying, wait a minute, actually, this horse might have to get disqualified because the trainer or the owner of the horse gave the horse medication to make it seem like they were fine, but there was something wrong with them. So they shouldn't have been able to participate in the race. So they're going to do some more testing, and that's what they were talking about with that drug test. They want to make sure that if they're going to let this horse have the title that they won, that they did it fair and square. No cheating. So that is what they're going through, and they're making some tests now to make sure that that horse was not.
I got the malware attack.
The malware attack? Right, so the malware attack, we're talking ransomware. Ransomware is something that when we are thinking back in the early 90s, I don't expect you guys to think about the early 90s.
Hey guys, before we do work, I want you to see what Miss Kerrigan is gonna find.
We had ransomware that was going around, and what it does is it gets into your computer, and there's a person who controls the other end of it, and maybe they'll get into your computer and lock up your family photo album. And they'll be able to have control of it until you either do what they want or pay them for it.
They're gonna see my private pictures.
One of the issues with that is if that happens to us, if we call the police and I say, oh, hi 911, there's somebody who's inside of my computer and they locked my accounts and I can't get into it. 911's gonna say, okay.
We're only help people. We're not allowed.
They can't help. There's nothing they can do.
Good strap. Good strap's out. Oh god, no. Call someone back.
What's right? So in order to
electrician.
This is just malware, honey.
A technician shall help.
So when we are thinking of malware, there are cybersecurity experts that have to come in and they either have to kind of wipe your computer or they'll do something where they'll make your firewall stronger so that it's a lot harder and less likely for somebody to be able to get in and even get to your documents in the first place.
Not my private picture.
Right. What else is going on?
Can Miss Cam again? Biscuit.
Oh my god, I can't believe I got it correct. First time ever.
Hey, I need
First
a
time.
pencil. So,
One shot Johnson game. One shot Johnson game. One shot Johnson game.
Pass pencils because
Yeah.
you don't have to push back.
One shot Johnson game.
I wrote hackers.
Hackers? Why?
On Roblox.
Sir,
Wait, you think it's that too?
Destin.
That was the answer.
Alright, so make sure that we're writing in our journals what of the story that stood out to us the most. We talked about horses, we talked about ransomware. What else would we talk about, Chris? Hackers, right? And that hacker is also part of the ransomware. What else did we talk about today? Schools, right, returning back to in-person learning. And there are some schools across the country that still aren't too sure what they want to do, whether they want to send kiddos in person or keep them at home. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the story for hackers are.
For which one?
Hacker.
So the story about the hacker, to summarize it, essentially, there are hackers who are going inside people's computer systems and holding
It's like
their...
a Zoom bombing.
Sort of, yeah. And they're going inside people's computer systems and holding their property at ransom. So if somebody were to like get into my computer and say, you can't get any of your lesson plans until you pay me $5,000. And I'd be like, what?
And maybe Brayden will say, stop it, you hackers.
Right. Brayden would stand up and say, no hacking. Alright, so let's make sure that we
Dora would
have...
be like, hacker, no hacking.
Yes. Yeah.
Alright, let's make sure that we are writing something into our journal. We got about 2 minutes before we're going to be moving on.
Well, guess what? I always did it.
So we gotta sit down. We can't distract people. They're trying to work. Okay.
No, but I'm doing the One Shot Johnson game on CN Tennis. One Shot Johnson. One Shot Johnson. One Shot Johnson. Let me just stretch real quick.
Go after that.
You did that.